Hi, y'all, and welcome to the Coffee Break Podcast. I'm your host, Kenzie Klem, and I'm thrilled to be in the studio tonight with Jenny De La Fuente, a talented actress, writer, and producer. From earning a degree in theater at UT, taking directing classes during COVID to fuel her artistic pursuit, and starting a production company, her achievements have been nothing short of extraordinary.
STLL Studios is a full-service production agency that partners with people, brands, and agencies to bring their unique stories to life for TV, socials, or ads. Contact us at hello@stillstudios.com.
Jenny, welcome.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Kenzie. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to have you. You've just, learning about you and getting to know you has been so wonderful through
Likewise.
WIFT, and getting to work on set with you has just been such a pleasure. You bring this extraordinary energy. So I'm so excited that we finally got time to bring you into the studio. You're so busy. I just want to talk a little bit. Let's just jump right into your background a little bit. You're from Mexico City. You were you grew up in an area where arts weren't really pursuing them wasn't really something that people did. And then you ended up in Texas. Let's chat a little bit about that.
Yes, it was quite a journey. So I did grow up in Mexico City, and I lived there till I was 20. And then I moved to Austin to go to UT, the University of Texas at Austin, to study theater. And like you said, I went to a school. It was an all-girls Catholic school. I went there since I was in kinder to senior year of high school, all my life. It was a great experience. But yes, it wasn't the type of school that you would go to pursue any artistic endeavors. It was more, maybe if you were into sciences or math or religion, then that was the place that you would go. So I really had to pursue at that time, I guess there were needs and craves of expressing as a kid outside of school. And I was very lucky to have two parents that supported that and really embraced I want the attention at all times. So I would do dance shows for my family. And my mom's side of the family, we have a ranch in the outskirts of Mexico City, and I would perform for my whole entire family when I was a kid, charge for the entrance, did this whole thing, surrender my cousins to submission. They had to be a part of the project, and they were my backup dancers. I was just very I loved performing. I loved singing, dancing. For a moment, I like modeling, but really my life led me to acting at the end of the day. That's where I really found I was more myself and where I felt the most comfortable. So I did theater classes outside of school as a kid, just in the country club that we would go to, and just had small roles, but I really loved it. And then as I got older, I started to get more serious about it and started to think about it as a career. And this is something that I could potentially, hopefully do. And because there is a big art scene in Mexico City. It is a very cultured city. It was just more the school that I went to and who I was surrounded with that maybe wasn't so much of the arts in that regard, right? So I took in high school some Stanislavski classes in the Russian Mexican Institute of all places.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So random, but it was great.
Yeah.
It was so great. I would just go there early Saturday morning and was there to see what happened and just really immersed. And I mean, I know you're Meisner trained, this was Stanislavski, but it was that feeling of just similar to Meisner, just being there in the moment and who knows what they're going to throw at you. And
all these practitioners learned and based everything off of Stanislavski.
It was so fun, Kenzie. It was just, I felt so much like it was my calling. So I did that, and then that led me to come to Austin. I applied to go to UT, study theater, and I moved.
Yeah. And you said that UT influenced you so much on how you base your craft, the way you approach the craft. And I think a lot of times people forget about the approach that actors take and how 95% of the work is seen off screen, and we don't we don't see all that. I want you to chat a little bit about, because this is where you and I really, really connected, was how those teachings you still use them today. Because I think that's so important that sometimes we'll forget where we started in our college craft and the basics, but you have really held on to that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Going to UT was so fun. The academic aspect, the social aspect, everything was just, I mean, it's a beautiful campus. It was truly a dream, living by myself for the first time. And it's a really good school. And I was very proud to be accepted, very lucky to be accepted, honestly. And I feel like from UT, my biggest takeaway in terms of acting and theater is research. I really learned how to do research and coming from the understanding that you're reading playwrights that are amazing at what they did or what they do, that they're really masters of their craft, and nothing is just thrown in there like casually. Oh yeah, I was in the bathroom and I just wrote this, whatever.
Every detail so specific.
So specific. So specific. And I love that. I started at UT knowing I wanted to be an actress. And yes, I've had taken some like acting classes in Mexico and everything, but I really didn't know the playwrights. I didn't know the parts of the theater. I didn't even know what front stage, but like
downstage and upstage. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I don't even know even right now, but I didn't know any of that at all. I just knew I wanted to act, and it was such an immersive experience. And I got the opportunity to do theater plays in front of people for the first time. And
what was your first show? Do you remember?
I do. It was okay. So freshman year, Jeremy Leacott, it was my acting one teacher. He was going to put on a play from Some Girls by Neil LaBute. I've never heard about Neil LaBute back then. Like everything was like culturally very new to me too.
Yeah.
Never heard of a lot of these names. And I read the sides. I'm like, this sounds pretty fun. I'm going to audition for it. And as a freshman, I auditioned for the role of like the 50-year-old like dean of this university who was in this really precarious situation with a student and is now in the present time, and they're really confronting about what happened between them in the past. And I did the audition, I went for it, and I got it, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, back then my English wasn't that good. I was nervous about the language, but it was a black box, small theater, very intimate, and I just knew it. Like, this is so incredible, so amazing. I just wanted to be a part of it and continue to do it.
I love that. That's the beauty of theater too, is no matter your age, you can always bring any type of role to life, because that's acting. That's one of my favorite things about theater is I would get cast in older roles and roles that were much younger than me.
Yeah.
But you could pull it off.
Yeah.
Actors could
absolutely.
do it.
Yeah. That's what's so fun about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a blast.
Yeah.
Okay. So you graduated from UT, and this is something funny that I connected with. You were like, all right, this is going to be this life of being a barista, just like the movies, while also working. Yeah. And there was that news flash, and it hit you in the face like, oh, this is flipping hard. Yeah. It is not like the movies. It's nothing like that. What were some of your biggest wake-up calls? And especially learning about rejection, because I coach a lot of younger actors and teach master classes. And I think they always ask me, how do you overcome rejection? I don't know if you ever do. Really, it's hard. But what were those years like post school, working your butt off, finding that agent that others could learn from?
They were hard.
Yeah.
Honestly.
They're the worst.
Yeah. I mean, it's a quarter life crisis for a reason, right? Yes, it was.
It smelled my coffee.
Like, legit. Like, they're very, very hard. It's a very confusing, at least in my experience, it was a very confusing time for me, because I graduated college, and for most of my life, well, I've always done good academically. Like, my family, they're academics, they're a bunch of nerds. We're kind of like all like a little bit of nerds, but so that wasn't hard for me. And I always, being in school and then college, where you're kind of in that lane, right? And you get good grades, and then you're good, you're doing great, and you graduate, and it's the real world. And no one really cares if you got good grades, if you graduated with this, or if you did this work. They really care about you doing good in your audition, and you're competing with so many people now. And it was the first time in my life, even having moved to a different country and everything, that I really felt like I had no guardrails, and I was just out in the wild. And I wasn't getting any yeses.
Were you submitting on Backstage and Actors Access and things like that?
Exactly. And I was submitting to agents. And I'm lucky enough right now that I'm with Collier Talent, but I think I submitted to Collier like 5 times. Like, I sent my mail submission to them 5 times. And I like to think that everything has its timing. But when you're going through that, is hard, and you're working in something that you don't want to do, and you don't really see clearly how you're going to get there. And all you keep getting is no, no, no. And you're in the crisis of, I'm not longer a kid. I am an adult now. I'm 25. But are you really?
Yeah,
you know,
now?
you're still finding your way into life, you know? But there's not the grace of society of like, oh, she's a college kid, she'll figure it out. Now you're a grown up, and you got to go for it, you know?
Yeah.
So that was really hard in the rejection. And I feel like I went through a lot of insecurity and just really not knowing what my voice was, what had worked at UT. I feel they really resonated with me being Hispanic and having this accent and all of that. And then when I graduated, that wasn't resonating with casting. I didn't fit that look to them. So that was very confusing. I felt like, well, who am I as an actress? Am I this role? What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you feel is get closer to the mic. What do you feel is one thing that you wish people knew more about those really early years as a performer, that maybe a lot of people outside the industry don't understand? Because we have this thought of, overnight success and everything. You don't see that.
Yeah.
Those immediate years.
For real. Whew. Well, honestly, I feel like there's 2 things. And one is mostly for like performers. I think it's important to know that probably the first things that you do, they're going to be pretty bad, you know? Maybe you do a short film and then you see yourself acting, you're like, oh God, cringe.
Oh yeah, I don't look back on those.
But it's part of it, you know? It doesn't mean that you're not talented. It means you're still learning.
Mm-hmm. Especially the first time you're on film, because it's so much more technical than theater. And that was a huge shock of like, I'm used to this stage and everything, but this energy needs to be, it's like you need the same energy, but it needs to be confined to such
and you're starting in different points of the scene and of the story too.
Yeah, it's not in order. Continuity.
Yeah,
that was one thing I struggled with. It's like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. And everyone's quiet and like looking. You don't get the laughs that you get in theater or the reaction. You don't feed off from the audience. You're just, okay, here I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, just maybe your first work is going to be bad, and that's okay. It doesn't define you as an artist, you know, just keep going. And something that I would really like people that are not in the industry to understand is it has been my experience that there is this all or nothing mentality. You're either the best, you're Meryl Streep, you're Emma Stone, or like if you're a musician, this is true not just for actors. I feel like this is true for artists or painters, sculptors. You're either in the MoMA, New York, or you're no one. You're nothing. And I just think is complete BS, because the way I think about it is I don't go to my dentist and I'm like, hey, did you do Michelle Obama's teeth? Then, okay, then you're a failure. There is a middle for everyone, you know, in every career. And I feel like artists, sometimes we're already dealing with the rejection and like the self-doubt and am I doing in the right path and everything. And then you get people who are not in the industry, who may not have any skin in the game, saying, well, I don't know you. I don't know your name.
I haven't seen you on Netflix.
Yeah,
Like,
where have you been? Like,
oh God, that's the worst question.
And I really don't like that, because just because you don't know someone doesn't mean they're not talented or they're not successful.
Yeah.
It's such a big cake, and like there's just a cherry.
Success looks different on everyone too.
Yeah.
And it's your own personal definition of it.
Exactly. And in the artist industry, it feels like it's all or nothing for people on the outside. And it's really not. There's so many ways that you can make a living and explore different avenues into your artistry.
Oh my gosh, that was so well said.
Thanks.
That was so well said.
I didn't
need
practice.
to go write that down. Okay. And then I feel like as artists, the big question, COVID, you said kind of hit you, and there was this confrontation time that pushed you inward. How did that change your perspective as an artist? And how did you maintain your passion for art? Because a lot of actors lost that.
Yeah.
So how did you maintain that passion? I know you did writing, and you directed, and you tried so many different things.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, COVID was weird. I mean, we can all acknowledge it was some weird times for everyone.
But it fueled you so much to where you are today.
It really is. I do look at those years. I'm actually very grateful.
Yeah.
I feel like my biggest growth happened in those years, because I had so much time and space to really think about where I was going. There was no distractions anymore. No, I don't need to think about that or shove it somewhere and don't think about. No, it was confrontational. You didn't have anything else but to be with yourself. So during COVID, I had some really hard realizations about myself, in terms of I had to come to terms with the fact that maybe I hadn't been trying hard enough. You know, I got an agent and I was following this route, and it was a safe route, and you audition to what they give you, and then maybe you find stuff on Actors Access, and then you hope for the best, you know? And just to come to terms with the fact of, damn, I don't think I'm giving it really what I think I'm giving it, and it's on me.
Yeah.
And that was really tough. It was really, really tough to come to terms with that. And I decided that I wanted to explore other aspects of filmmaking and just get over the idea that I couldn't do that I was just an actor. So I started writing again. And then I took online classes for filmmaking. NYU has this program. It's very fundamental, but it was great for me because I didn't have experience in behind the scenes of film, and I did a silly documentary of my boyfriend breakdancing, and it was really nice. It was very like low stakes, and yeah, so I learned to explore that. And then I took a class at Austin School of Film, and I wrote, produced, and directed my first short there, and it was amazing.
Right?
Hina, yeah, exactly, and it was amazing. It was so fun. Working with my actor friends who I just knew they were going to make me look good because they were just so good. For real. Like it was Haley Lauren and Tim Dan and Jenny Birch, and they're just talented people. Like it was like, okay, I'm good. I feel this is going to work great in terms of the performance. Like maybe the technical stuff, yeah, maybe I don't have my stuff together, but they got it. So I did that. And I went on to direct 4 more projects after that. And again, it was a humbling experience because I realized it wasn't for me, and that wasn't my path, and that was not the journey that I meant to take. And it was okay. It was okay.
And the final thing you directed was the last few episodes of New Me with Katie Higgins.
Yes.
Wonderful human being who was one of our original guests.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you said that it was so difficult to direct and act at the same time.
Yeah. It's such a different mindset.
Yeah.
Such a different energy that you have to bring to the table. And it was so hard to switch from that. And then you're trying to get into character, but the people in the crew are, because you are also directing, asking you questions. And it was just so hard for me. I just decided, I don't think this is my path to to direct. But I mean, I had a great time
Yeah.
on that set. I directed the last 2 episodes, and Chiara Marcardi did the first 2 episodes. And it was at Katie's apartment. We had all the crew there. We were all like bumping into each other and just doing something for the sake of loving it. And just
you got to work with your best friend.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was literally so fun.
Yeah, you met, you immediately clicked.
Yeah.
That relationship blossomed and allowed the trajectory of you today, which brings us to, I want to jump before Pink Mud, Somewhere You Feel Free.
Okay, yeah.
This is something that's so special and near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
So I'd love, and is it out yet?
It's technically out, but not really. It's out temporarily through Montreal Women Film Festival. They're putting it online for a brief moment. I'm not sure what that brief moment looks like. They never told me the dates, but it's still live. And I'm still, after that, I'm waiting for other festivals. And then I do want to do a launch and just have it on Vimeo or YouTube. Or I still need to do research on that. What's the best course of action for that short?
Yeah. So chat a little bit about that, because that was such a personal project. It was loosely based off of your own experiences, but you didn't want it to be exactly like, okay, this is me.
Yeah.
And you and Katie both produced it.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. Was
this the first thing you produced together? Or no, New Me was?
New Me was. So when I met Katie, we went to get coffee and we immediately bonded. And we started talking about projects that we were working on. And I was very early in Somewhere You Feel Free. I think I had like the first drafts. So it wasn't ready at all to be out. And Katie was way more advanced in her script. So we bonded so much, she invited me to produce New Me with her and direct. And I said, yes, of course, that sounds great. And then one of the actors that was going to play Lucia, she ended up not being able to make it to the set. She let us know in advance and everything. So then she invited me to also act. And I was like, this is great. And it was amazing working with Katie and producing with her. Something that really worked for us in a very beautiful way is I always knew when I was doing New Me, sure, I was coming in and like producing and directing, but I knew it was her story and I really wanted to honor that. And I knew I was more of a person in the passenger seat, kind of like reading the map to her while she's driving, And she did the same for me for Somewhere You Feel Free. And we kind of just held hands and walked through fire together. And I'm so grateful because we grew together.
Yeah. And you created Pink Mud Productions, which is incredible.
Yeah.
I had the honor to work on set in the art department with Olivia, who was our first our first guest. But that was one of the most cohesive, incredible, well-flowing, well-timed sets. And seeing you and Katie work together was such a pleasure. So the beginning stages of Pink Mud Productions, not many people know, that you can start a production company.
Right.
What was that like to start it?
Oh my gosh. It was so exciting.
Yeah.
So exciting. And nerve-wracking, obviously, too, because you're really putting yourself out there. So you're like, okay, there's no going, you can always change your mind, but there's really not going back in terms of like, I'm exposed now to this idea and everything. But working with Katie, it was so cool to figure out what our values were going to be and what kind of stories we were going to tell, what type of people we wanted to work with. And we just had, it was so clear that we wanted to do character-driven stories because we're both actors. And it was so easy. Working with her, there was never, even when we were both, for example, in Elena's short film, that we were both producers coming in 50-50 into the project. We were in the lead of the project. It was Elena's project that we were kind of managing, producing in a way. We just delegated work. This is how we're going to split it. And if at some moment it felt like, I don't like the work that we delegated, can we switch? Can we like... there was just a lot of emotional maturity in the relationship. It felt so easy to just work with her.
Yeah.
And I really value that. No, so sorry.
You associated it like like you were a wedding planner, just
Yeah.
orchestrating so much. And I
Yeah.
loved that metaphor
Yeah.
because it clicked so much.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so true.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was recently on on a commercial set last week in Fredericksburg for a brand that is going to launch, and the people that hired me, they were honestly the best clients. They were so sweet, so nice, and they were not in the film industry, and they wanted to direct the project. So David, the cinematographer, brought me in to help them produce and just to be hands-on help on set, right? And that the client asked me, well, what does a producer do? Like, why do I need you on set? Or what are you going to basically bring to the table? Yeah, you're hiring someone, you're spending money. Why are you here, right? And I told her that is, think about it. You're the bride and I'm the wedding planner. And my goal is for you to have the best day. Everything that you have planned flows the way you planned it. The food is going to come out when it's going to come out, and it's going to come out hot. And we're going to play your entry music when you scheduled it. If the chef accidentally cuts his finger in the bag, you're not going to know about it. I'm going to figure it out.
What's the most overwhelming part of that producer title?
Well, probably would be you really have to be on your feet, like think in the moment for the best possible solution. It's such quick pace and you just got to keep going.
It's improvising. You
Right.
just said you weren't good at improvising. Look at you. You improvise all the time.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm making people laugh. That's different. I feel like that's in the moment on set, that would be probably the hardest thing when things are not going the way you want them to go. But to me, the hardest thing is a spreadsheet. That's legit the hardest thing for me. I see my mind I'm just like, oh my gosh, but I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just moving forward from it. Yeah.
So you love the hat of producer and writer and actor.
Yeah.
And you have you're in the process of writing or finishing up a proof of concept for a feature that you were going to kind of get on its feet at the end of the year. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I am very excited about this. I've never written a feature, so I'm kind of in the trenches of the third draft right now of what is this about? But it's about a woman who becomes obsessed with becoming another woman. And what I'm really trying to play with is this character who is a high achiever and wants to really fulfill her life purpose and wants to be the best at what she does, but she was brainwashed to believe that in order to be loved, she needs to conform to other people's needs and expectations of her. And so then she sees this woman, and in her, that she shares a lot of similarities, whether it's like the same career path or if maybe like ethnicity or like family, like just everything is like we're too similar, maybe birthday or something like that. But this woman is the successful version, the seemingly successful version of that. And in order, instead of her being, okay, she's doing it, I can do it in my own way, she thinks she has to become that and compromise her own values, her own likes, dislikes. And I'm playing with a little bit of a psychological thriller aspect too, so it'll be fun.
I love it.
But yeah, I would hate it to just be like, oh, it's about envy or... No, it's so much more. It's about a deeper wound, and I really want to expose that.
That so many women can connect to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people in general. I've talked to guys about it too, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, I'm in social media, and like I'm comparing myself to this person, and then I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't even know them, and I just feel so bad about myself." And it's not just social media. I mean, I did it growing up with like magazines or whatever, you know. So I want to really explore what is this wound that we have that makes us feel like we may not be good enough.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's what I'm exploring.
I love that. I'm so excited to hear more.
I'm excited too. Yeah.
Jenny, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
If any of our listeners need an incredible producer, you can find Jenny on Instagram at Pink Mud Productions. Thank you so much for listening in. We are so happy to have you. Follow us on Instagram at The Coffee Break, and you can also find us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Thank you, Kenzie. You're awesome.
so welcome.
Can't wait to do some acting with you.
Yeah, we need to share the screen together, not just behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That would be so wonderful.
Yeah, let's do it.
STLL Studios is a full-service production agency that partners with people, brands, and agencies to bring their unique stories to life for TV, socials, or ads. Contact us at hello@stllstudios.com.